to have these conversations. They were looking like a far-fetched conversation that literally were more theoretical. But as late as 2 weeks ago when we had the meeting with Ivy, your CEO of KETSA, and your board, it was clear that it is, we have a good morning of issues because the conversation has gone a full cycle. I am sure that it's very easy to sit down and rest. But there are two ways of, or just as human beings, we are all of us at an age whereby when you're told to go to do a full medical test, you look for neighbors, friends, relatives to take you. I don't know whether there's anybody who is below that age. Most of us are looking at the general low mood is when you're told you're going for a full medical test, you need a support system because you are sure something will be found. Hello? You are sure something will be? And if it's found, you need to look for a way of communicating it. Maybe we are very good in this. When you go and tell a man you are now suffering from this condition, you go sit down in a hotel. For those of us who take alcoholic beverage, we'll sit down in a bar, alone, take a beer, and start meditating. If I tell my wife what will happen, she will think I'm dying, the children have no school fees for next time. You go through the whole circle until you find a trusted friend who you can share with. Then you call the guy, you tell me, bro, when they come with disclose. That is where the SACCOs are. In modern form, everything that is happening, it has a lot of pointers to, can you come, we talk, because we want to get the next level. And that is why, as an exchange, we are here. We are not here by coincidence. This is in the news, it's public information. This is as late as 2 weeks ago. For those of you who are on X, you can go and follow the whole conversation. It's very interesting that most of the people who followed the tweet by the CS are giving very positive feedback about wanting the SACCOs to actually move to the next stage of conversation. We also had this conversation with Maria. Maria is one of the people who played a pivotal role in privatizing the first SACCO, or having the first SACCO traded shares in the United Arab Emirates. So we are not saying we are the first one. I like the way when my colleague from Family Bank was making a presentation and he said, just like M-Pesa, when you are Kisha, just like M-Pesa, referencing our own solution. I was telling, and I always tell people, every time somebody asks me, where has this been done before? It takes me back to saying, we don't need innovation, we need to live by normal standards. So it is good when we appreciate these things are happening somewhere else and they have happened. Just to tell you about Tennessee, I don't want to build on this, but I just want to focus on this bit about Tennessee. This is where we are. As Tennessee, when my colleague and my friend was talking about being top 20 employer, Chairman, Madam Joyce, asked me about how we treat our staff. And I was very excited because when she was talking about HR, it hit me, I'm 20 years now, not even 18 as per the profile. And I'm now starting to be classified as part of the assets of the exchange. Because for 20 years in one organization, I remember what Honorable Staraya said, they grow their own people internally. Generically, they grow. I am a true reflection of that model. At NSC, being in a specialized field is a model we believe in, that we bring you in, craft you to be what you are. So we want to be the top 20 employer, but that's not the news. This is where the SACCOs sit, having 50 diversified funds. In modern form, last year we were given the mandate by the capital market through something called POL, public offer and listing, of structuring any sector within the economy that would add value to the people of Kenya. And that is how we've been able to structure the SACCO trading solution, because it has been entrenched in the capital market public offering requirement of 2023. So we are very clear that that is something that is going to work. We also have other things that we have been able to create, like the SME board, the fintech bonds, all that sit in different areas of our business. When I come selling them today, I sell at a less value than what I bought. Is it a fair conversation? You know, sometimes I tell people when you're not always in the receiving end, it doesn't bother you. But there are two ways that you have to leave the Sacco. One is voluntary, the other one is? The other one is what? Yeah, you have to, at one level of time, you have to transit to the next world. It's a matter of when and how. So the most important thing that we want to also appreciate that even us in the Sacco community, we shall be part of that challenge if we do solve it today. In manner and form of saying that, this is the relevance of the Sacco in the future. This is not information that I've crafted by myself. This is information that has been crafted through proper research. The first one is the members are saying, can I be able to transfer the shares capital freely or exit? That is fundamental. Number two is, if existing members enjoy fair capital appreciation of their money, there will be a conversation that I bought the shares when I was a young person, I contributed 10,000. When I'm 70 years or 50 years, when I'm leaving the Sacco, I should be able to get appreciation. Then, can the Sacco access capital for growth? One of the biggest, or one of the most lucrative areas that you have been operating in is about trust. That I can walk into my Sacco, and within a span of 2 or 3 hours, I can go back home with a 10,000, 20,000. I would like everybody in this room, during your lifetime, to look at M-Pesa and how much you qualify for M-Pesa. The majority of reason. Most of us here, I'm sure the ones who are transacting this, you qualify for 10,000, 15,000 to freezer. So telling us as SACCOs, we need to move from the space of now looking at the 10,000, the 20,000, and in the future even the 50,000, people will be able to access them on mobile banking. Or today, if you go to this case who are the mobile lenders, they can be able to give you that money without a guarantor. So are we evaluating how we are doing our business in that space using the model we are doing in? So it is important if you can start accessing independent capital that is not tied to your members. Because that's the only way you can be able to engage in the next financial conversation. In terms of revenue diversification, I remember when Safaricom came and they launched M-Pesa, the biggest fight between the commercial banks and Safaricom was, you guys are getting to the banking space. And Safaricom was saying, we are not getting to the banking space. It is good to look for alternative businesses that can supplement your core business of credit facilitation. And even if you are from the point of facilitating credit, it must be in an efficient and accessible way if you want to be seen in the future. You have to ask yourself, what does it mean? Today, when I go to my mother, she trusts the institution. The first one is the church she goes to. The second one is her Sacco. And the third one she can trust is the chama she is in. So you have to start seeing a new model of saying, can we provide other services that are pegged to other institutions? A good example is, we have opened as an exchange the opportunity of SACCOs becoming our agents. You can actually go and apply for being a CDA, a Central Depository Agent, if you qualify. So it is a conversation we can have. We also talk about value addition of business. When Madam Chair came here with the board, one of the conversation was telling them about this value creation. Do not lie to yourself that your members only need credit. Don't wake up thinking every day that your members are struggling to borrow money from you. Because the moment you look at life from that perspective, by default, you'll be focusing on providing credit solution for them. We have a Sacco in Nairobi, which came, and after we did the whole process, guess what we found they're interested in? We found that the only thing that they need is not even the credit. These people actually require an arrangement of saving for their old age. And that is how we are able to come here, model of a pension plan for the members. Why? These are members in the informal setup. And one of the biggest worries as they grow old, inability to produce comes in, and they need a solution for them that is working. So don't look at your members only to see that they're only needing credit from you. Actually, in financial terms, we tell people credit is a reflection of the last resort. People come to borrow money, even you as human beings, you call your friends to borrow money when there is no alternative. So if you become an enabler of business, then there is a conversation about that. So it's good. Look at what your members are good at, evaluate what would make sense for them. Even as you provide them with credit, you can supplement their needs within the natural setup. I want to go straight to this conversation, the share trading platform. And I want us to follow Kiminje because I know most of the questions that emanate on this are questions that we need to address here, or if you're not certified, we can be able to address them in the future. You might find a situation whereby you're surrendering, and especially for my senior SACCOs who started a long time ago, you might find that you're surrendering a lot of actually money to unclaimed financial assets because of that disposition alone. So it is important for us to realize, let's move forward in the face of growth, not step back to comfort. What problem are we solving? We want to solve the tradabilities of shares in a regulated environment. We don't want a situation whereby when I'm joining the Sacco, your marketing teams are very aggressive to tell me how to join. Engage. Is that true? Your marketing teams are very active to tell me how to join the Sacco. But when I want to leave, they are not as active as that to tell me how to leave the Sacco. It is just a fair conversation for us to have and say, the way it is easy to enter, it should also be easier to get out. And anybody who has left you as a member has left you for clear fundamentals, either by choice, or choice that you have pushed them, they say, Madam choice. Madam that's by choice, or by death. Most of the people who are sitting on our register are actually by exit, by choice, or by death. So we have to be very clear. We cannot stop them from going. They have already made a decision of going. So facilitating them to move on is very easy. And I say it, and I always repeat, when it is not you or your turn to receive these issues, you're comfortable with it. But when it is your turn, and I give a good example. My father was a member of the bigger Arabic Sacco. And when he was very sick, he told the doctor that in case I die, the shares that I have in Arabic Sacco, Siuswe, Uzome University. And my dad passed on when my sister was in second year. And guess what? My sister has 4 daughters, and the last one is now in university. And we have not been able to get that money from Arabic Sacco. So assuming my dad came back during Judgment Day, as we are told, and they have a conversation with Arabic Sacco, what will they be talking about? What I mean is, imagine it is you now, it is your time. So it's good, let's create this infrastructure. It will work for our people, and it will work for us. We are talking about lead time ownership transfer. We are talking about attracting a wide base of investments across the ecosystem. I always tell people, if today you went to Safaricom and asked them, or even a good, cooperative bank, if you went and asked a cooperative bank, who are your shareholders today? At this particular moment, they cannot tell you. And it doesn't have to know they come from this area. But initially, cooperative bank are the members from a certain grouping of people. But because they listed their shares, today they are owned by anybody. You can imagine if today I want to buy the shares of Tower Sacco and I'm in Mombasa. Do you have a branch here, Patrick?
Yes,
Utoapa. Yes. Or let's say, I know you don't have a branch name. I come from them, so if I want to buy the shares and I'm from them, will I be able to buy them? Will I even know you exist? So imagine of a counter position whereby you have a brand that is known in the whole world, whereby you say, if you want to buy shares of a listed Sacco or a share of a Sacco that is trading, it is on this board. Like the way we are seeing Unicorn from United Emirates, we know about it. Not because we have seen it and the evil things, but we have had the good information about it. We only require a solution that when you dial star 100, tells me you can become a member. And then I follow the motion which we'll be discussing. And we also talking about promoting financial discipline and accountability and compliance. We cannot, and I was telling somebody, I have looked at most of the strategic plan for most of the SACCOs. There's one thing that makes me very excited. One of the key pillars is increasing membership. Is that true? Fair valuation means that I bought the shares, and a good example can be seen even in Equity, which was a cooperative society. When the shares were starting to trade, they were not at what they are trading today. So it is good when you are exiting or when you are exiting a SACCO to get a fair valuation of your capital. I am sure when I joined, I am a member of Mwalimu Sacco. The time I joined Mwalimu Sacco, and I can proudly say, they did not have even a single building. Today they have buildings, they have vehicles, which adds to the valuation of the money I invested in. So it is just fair to make sure that people get value for what they have invested in. And also, we call efficient capital movement. That today I should be able to join a SACCO, not because I want credit, but as an investment. Research has proven that 90% of the SACCOs that are actually, I can confidently say, most of the SACCOs that are above the top 30s in Kenya, their dividend yield is higher than the best bank in Kenya. So today, if I can see, the best paying dividend is Standard Chartered 25 shillings and BAT, which are outliers. But most of the SACCOs, if you look in aggregation, you're providing a better dividend. So me as Jackson, who is serving investment, I would be very happy to put my money in a SACCO, not as access to credit, but as access to an investment opportunity, which is fundamentally why people come for investment. And remember, if today I was to get money for you as an investment, I don't need that capital tomorrow. So it is good for us to agree on that. In terms of attracting investors, clearly, I am in Nakuru, as my brother said, I should be able to buy shares of whichever SACCO I want, not to deposit money to become qualifiable for credit, but as an investment. So how will this be done? Or how shall this go around? Just jump to this. I want to go back these slides after I go to this slide. And this is where the meat of the conversation comes in. One of the fundamental questions that every SACCO has been asking is this. We can only be able to transfer shares from you to another member. True or false? That's the current situation of this. I cannot come and buy the shares of the SACCO starting if I'm not a member. So either I become a member and buy the shares, or I forget about that business. So we are saying we are not changing the cooperative model. Initially, or the thought process is, you have two ways you can be able to trade the shares of a SACCO. The first one is whereby you come and convert the whole of this ecosystem and say, we are forming home, give or take, KETSA Sacco becomes, we put it in a basket, which we call a holding company. And then we list the holding company which owns the KETSA Sacco. That is not the route that we want to take because of what? My brothers and sisters here, you know clearly, the moment we do that, we'll be changing the ecosystem of the SACCO community. That's not where we are looking at. We are looking at making sure the current ecosystem is respected and abided by. So the first thing that we are saying is, for you to buy or to sell the shares of a SACCO, you have to be a member. So this ecosystem defines what will happen when we start trading the shares. The first one is upcoming. The client will have the initial access to the SACCO and say, I want to buy the shares of give or take Nogo. And I come and say, are you a member? The answer is a yes or a no. If the answer is a no, then you'll be told, become a member. So you'll be proud back to becoming a member, which means if for me to become a member of Nogo requires I pay 10,000 shillings to be a member, I will have to pay the 10,000. I can be able to go and buy the shares that are in the market. So first thing first, I have to become a member. So we preserve the identity of a SACCO by membership. So if you are a member, you just proceed straight to buy the shares if you want to buy the extra shares. But if you're not a member, you have to come back and become a member, then you qualify to buy the shares. Then after that, if you qualify to buy the shares, now you are admitted to buy more shares in the market. When it comes to selling of the shares, which is now leg 2, you log in into your portal. The client is a member, then you place your order. It's either executed or rejected. If it's executed, then you go through the motion of getting all the other services. This is after you have already become a member. This is if you're not a member, becoming a member. We are not providing an avenue through which the Sacco shares will be bought by a non-member. But I can confirm in this room, KETSA and NSC are also exploring the opportunity through which the members of KETSA can have what we call mutual recognition. Mutual recognition is saying today KCB is listed in Tanzania, it is listed in Kenya, but it doesn't interfere with the ecosystem of the respective banks in their respective countries. So this is what we are going to do, that you will be allowed by Oma and form to preserve your cooperative model. Why are we doing all these things? The main thing that we are focusing on in this conversation is ideally facilitating SACCOs to be able to support their own members to exit from what you are calling the current situation whereby I cannot sell my share capital if I want to be the SACCO. That's why we are very clear. This is a model that we will develop to work with, just to make sure that the SACCOs are happy and also the market is happy. In terms of who has done it before, I said Cooperative Bank was a good case study. You can see from the time they converted, but the model of Cooperative Bank was to change the cooperative to a commercial bank. We don't want to go that route. We also have what we are calling the unicorn, which is one of the exciting examples that we can see, because it really trains as a cooperative up to now, up to this point. And finally, I would like to say that beyond these, those are just the perspective. Beyond all this conversation, we are also very keen for you guys to become a business development partners for the exchange as SACCOs, because of your wider reach and the magnitude of the business people you're dealing with. In terms of becoming a business development partner of the exchange, we are looking at you doing the following things. One is accessing NS listed vehicles. We know there are members within your SACCOs who are shareholders of other companies. If they want to trade, you should be able to facilitate them to trade through certain arrangements, promoting financial literacy and inclusion. Your members are able to be accessed through people, so you have good avenue through which you can do that. And also market data and case studies to clients. One of the biggest challenges that the market has been facing, and not just the market, the economy in Kenya has been facing, is that there's so many things that are happening that are good, but they are not able to reach the common person. I remember yesterday the person who brought me to this place, I was telling him, if I was in Mombasa 10 years ago, and I came to Mombasa today, I think I'm seeing a very different Mombasa. But I'm sure, because I've not been here the whole of this year, last year, all these things that are happening, nobody is seeing them. So even us, there are many things that are happening in this economy of ours. For instance, a good example is the market has gone up 500%. But who are the main beneficiaries at the moment? You find there are very few people who are benefiting from those share appreciation. But I am sure some of your members, I remember Ivy and the chair of CEOs can confirm, the chairman told us they sometimes back they facilitated people to access the buying of the shares. But do they know how much those shares are worth right now? Most of them maybe no. Do they even remember they bought the shares? Maybe no. So there are some of your members who might be struggling, and we call them barefoot millionaires, and you can support them to understand this money somewhere for them. And also promote customer onboarding. Customer onboarding is one of the biggest challenges in most financial products. For most of these people you're seeing here who are sponsoring you IV, they are here because of customer onboarding. And they want to onboard people in their products. The issue is getting a customer on the bottom is about trust. your members trust you, and you can be able to be the first line judgment of saying, we have looked at this from a professional point, it is good for us, you guys can onboard them. So it is good for us to have that conversation. And financial inclusion, what Elizabeth was talking about. Financial inclusion, if you go to, and please my banking colleagues, don't beat me up. When we are trying to create a curriculum, some days back for education, the banking was saying financial inclusion is saving money. But we told them financial inclusion is enabling people to make the right financial decision and tapping into the opportunities that exist. So when I save money, it's not inclusion. It is because I have nowhere safe to keep the money. But financial inclusion is enabling our own people to make rational investment decisions that can impact their life in the future. And of course, we cannot forget on saying you are a good channel through which a lot of people can be able, these are the benefits, I will share the slides, but the most important one is this number one, which gives you independent income in your markets. One of the biggest and exciting thing is there's something called the price of capital. How much is the capital that you're lending on worth? There's a Sacco in somewhere in Maua that they have gotten a grant for green financing. And they have gotten that money at a very low price. In manner and form, they're able to give their members at 9%. So it is good to realize when you start coming to these phases of the capital markets, different people will see different opportunities. But it is, as I said, you cannot tap into everything that you're talking about here today. It is you to identify what will work for me and what will not work for me. Going back to the slide I jumped, is a journey that we have crafted for you, and that is where I wanted to end my conversation. All this conversation, where do you start? The first step, if you want to have a conversation with the capital markets, is what we call the diagnostic. The diagnostic is saying, let's understand who we are dealing with. Let's understand what you need, not what you're prescribing. And this comes at the back of saying, different SACCOs will be needing different things at every particular point. So when you do a diagnostic, it gives you a neutral way of looking at this conversation. The next thing that you do is, you go to what we call now doing valuation. Because even if you're trading your shares, they must have a starting price. There must be a price to start trading your shares at. That's where you're going for the independent valuation of these SACCOs. And also, it will give us a very clear understanding of what magnitude and how pricing will be done for those shares that you have. Then we have what you call, after you do a diagnostic and you do a valuation, we work to that stage, which is now the rectification of issues that might have arisen. If you are good to go, then you can start automating your register. After you automate your register, then you do the submission to the regulator. For SACCO, it will be a letter of no objection. For NSE, it's onboarding your shares for trading. But you will not be trading in the normal motions of the listed PLC companies in the market. You will be trading in a sector of your own, which is just the SACCOs trading there. So you'll not be engaged against other institutions that are not of the nature. And finally, we do the trading and we do the daily monitoring. So this is just a small journey that, or this is a journey that you need to prepare yourself to walk if you're coming to think about trading your shares in the market. And with that, I would like to stop there, unless there's a question.